Hello, everyone. Welcome to Opinions New by Dr. Frank Tianxie. I'm Frank. Okay. In this episode, I want to talk about whether the United States should adopt a negative interest rate. Many of you have heard about or have seen that the British has just last week, the British Central Bank has issued a midterm, debt bond, a 2-year bond worth about 3.7 billion pound or about 4.6 billion US dollars. The maturity date is July of 2023. Right? The average yields on those British bond is actually negative 0.003. Okay? Even though the investors could get interest of about 0.75% a year, but what they actually paid for the bond, is actually higher than the face value. In other words, if they hold the bonds till maturity in 2023, the eventual return on the bonds will actually be lower than what they paid for. It's negative. The yield is negative. Even though for the British government though, they the money they borrow the money, they get money, but they actually get some return. So that's a pretty good deal. Right? So, but for the bondholders though, they're not getting all the money back. The money they got back is actually lower than the money they loaned to the British government. Okay? So it seemed to be that Great Britain is joining the ranks of Germany and Japan and other European countries, and adopting an interest rate, the negative interest rate. We know the European central banks, many European countries, and Japan have been having this negative interest rate for quite some time. Since the financial crisis of 2008, the interest rate, in Japan and Germany, Europe, were below zero, and a little bit just below zero, negative, and that negative interest rate remained the same till today. Okay? So the financial analyst in London believes that the Central Bank of England, will have a negative interest rate, later this year. Okay, and if you think about that, earlier in May, we have seen the futures, the oil price, oil futures drop below zero. Right? In other words, someone who shorted on the oil market, Texas intermediaries, had to pay someone to buy their oil. It's negative price negative. That's amazing. Basically, you can have the oil and I pay you money to have it. Right? This is quite shocking. Okay? So you can see this CCP virus and the Wuhan pandemic has caused huge troubles for world economy. In fact, if you look at what the Chinese farmers, vegetable farmers did in China, and also what the chicken farmers in America are doing, you see that there's something strange like that has happened everywhere, right? The Chinese farmers, they couldn't sell all their vegetables because they had no people to transport those vegetables to center city in Wuhan. So they had to leave the vegetables spoiled, in the farm, in the land, in the field. And also American chicken farmers. I just attended a seminar by the World Affairs Council of Atlanta. They invited the vice president and of the largest meat processor, not processor, actually meat dealer, chicken, poultry, pork, and beef dealer in the country, one of the largest one in the country, to talk about why there was no chicken in American supermarkets. Right? And the reason is it's not that the American farmers were not, or ranchers were not producing chickens. It's because the chickens they produced could not be processed and or transported because there were not enough workers there. People were not working because of the virus. Right? So in the end, they can't just let the pigs, to grow, keep growing and growing, because once the pigs grow to be too big and not slaughtered, they won't be able to fit into those slaughtering machines that they use. They cannot be slaughtered, and then what do you do with them? Right? The same thing, if they cannot sell enough chickens, they don't have people to process them. The supermarkets are not buying, not supermarket. I mean, the schools, the elementary schools, public schools, they used to feed the kids with a lot of chicken meat, chicken nuggets. They're not buying that much. There's a problem in the demand as well. And also, if you don't slaughter those chickens, you don't have people to slaughter the little chickens or chicks. You don't slaughter the chickens, or you have too many chicks that you don't need. You don't want to feed them anymore, because the cost of chicken feed is also high. That's why they have to kill those chicks. Okay. So in other words, you can see, and also in Holland, we have seen that the flower farmers of Holland, they had to, just let those flowers, beautiful Holland flowers, perish in the land, in the field. Okay. In the essence, the chickens, the price of chicken, oil, and flowers all became negative. Okay. So what is negative interest rate? Why? How could the interest rate be negative? And what does that mean to us consumers? And should the United States adopt a negative interest or not? Okay. So what is negative interest? Basically, is the borrowers, as borrower, you do not need to pay lenders an interest. The lenders actually pay you interest. That's the negative interest rate. When will negative interest rate be emerge? In normal, ordinary society, when the economy is really in a recession, in bad shape, the force of government policy and the market force could push the interest rate to near zero, right? And if they push it further to down below zero, then we're going to have negative interest, right? Because the government, the central banks want to lower the interest rate to make lending easier, make borrowing easier, make the business more likely to borrow money to expand their operation. Therefore, there's a force of moving the interest lower and lower to stimulate the economy. Right? It happened in Japan and also happened in Germany. Okay? So the problem is with negative interest rate is the banks and mortgage companies could face challenge, because the banks, found the banks it's hard for them to or impossible for them to have a negative interest on those savings account. Right? Those pension fund or retirement fund managers, right? And negative interest will make them their costs higher, and they will have not enough income, so as to pay those retirees additional money, and then causing those the costs of those employers to go up. Yeah. So the next thing we want to in demanding that for our and the U.S. federal fund rate futures of U.S. fund rate had estimated to, after the Fed chairman said they're not interested in having a negative interest, negatively priced bond. But the futures price of bond for on the giving families, the money to pay in cash, $1,200 per person, $2,000, $3,000. The Congress, the House is $3 trillion, spending another $3 trillion. All these $5 trillion will be added on top of 21 trillion dollars of the debt of the U.S. government. Okay? I can see why President Trump wants to have negative interest rate, and he does not want to increase the burden, debt burden of the U.S. The competitiveness, and the Japanese yen, their low interest rate, a negative interest rate, the competitiveness of U.S. dollars in global market. He knows that the euros and the Japanese yen, their rates, and as investors will pay to own American, bond. Even though Fed does not want to use market pressure, so under certain conditions, it could become negative. You bought $1 million for a house, in the end, you only need to pay not even. And also for those savers, as I said, if the bank charges you money to safeguard your money, would you still want to keep your money at the bank? Right? They're not paying interest, but charge you. Right? So you want to take money out, right? You want to take money out of the bank. Everyone wants to do that. It's going to be a bank run. Right? If the bank run see that they cannot keep we should not punish conservative, lifestyles. We should not punish savers. Right? We should not increase overspending, more borrowing, and more debts of government. So that is my opinion. Thank you for watching this episode of Opinions New by Dr. Frank Tianshi. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.